Hey, welcome. Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday once again. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day so far. A beautiful Friday, a great start to their weekend. As always, welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. As always, it's your boy, your host, Jayson Estrera. And now on today's show, last night we saw the Dallas Mavericks punch their ticket in to the NBA Finals. And they did it while embarrassing the Minnesota Timberwolves on their home floor. We also saw Caitlin Clark get a little bit into it with Victoria Vivians in last night's game against, what is it? Who are they against? The Seattle Storm? I could be fucking totally wrong. Against the Seattle Storm, yes. But first, before we get into any of those games, let's start with a fun little topic, and that is courtesy of Vince Carter.
And John Thompson essentially asks him, if you went against Vince Carter in a dunk contest, who would win? And Michael Jordan's response was, I think it would be fun. The fans would get entertained. It doesn't matter who wins.
He would never concede to anyone.
So I'm going to ask you, who would win that dunk contest?
I'm winning. I don't know how. I'm winning. But see, I appreciate that because that's what the era was like. MJ's going to put up a fight, and I know I would have to bring it. Just like with Kobe, Dr. J, the greats of the game in dunking, I would love to have had the opportunity to dunk against those guys.
What makes you confident you'd beat MJ in that dunk contest?
You better be confident if MJ, Kobe, and LeBron as well, they see weakness, they're going to expose you.
So, obviously, that was Vince Carter talking about an all-time dunk contest where he thinks he would beat, Michael Jordan. Shit, is this fan not on? Hold on. Yeah, so, this is a topic where Vince Carter, he obviously loves dunking the basketball. It was one of his best attributes as an NBA player, as a basketball player. And he thinks he would win in a dunk contest. And I think he's got a great case, right? So when we have conversations like this, I think it's important to understand a couple of things, right? If we were able to take a time machine and bring all of these players today, like all of these players from their prime. So Jordan when he was in his prime in the dunk contest, Vince Carter from that year in this dunk contest. And I hate to say this, rest in peace Kobe Bryant, but Kobe would not be on this list. If you saw the way he did the East Bay, he had to put it in between his legs on the way up. Vince Carter was in the air, legs split, and then he threw it between his legs and dunked. It's just a different... Kobe Bryant had like a 36-inch vertical leap. Like, it was just a different... He didn't have the same athleticism as these guys, if we're just being honest. Now, I'll throw a couple names in the hat, right? Zach LaVine, Jason Richardson, Desmond Mason. It's not Miles, right? I think it's Darius Miles is who I'm thinking of. But Desmond Mason, bruh. When I tell you guys, like, these guys were fucking incredible. Oh, my God. It's just one of those things where, they were in the time when basketball, like, they just weren't that popular, right? But those guys are incredible. Aaron Gordon, Desmond Miles. Desmond Mason. Desmond Mason, he could jump. Like, now, I do think, and here's the other part when you have these conversations, right? Even though we can look at it with our eyes in the modern day and say, okay, Jordan jumped high enough, he could probably do between the legs or whatever. Or, Vince Carter, he could probably do some of the dunks that Zach LaVine has done. But the reality is, if we're taking them in a time machine, they only come with the bag from with the bag that they had. Meaning Jordan only has his dunks. Vince Carter only has his dunks. You know, Zach LaVine only has his dunks. Aaron Gordon has his dunk. Desmond Mason, Jason Richard, they only have the dunks that they have. If you want, go ahead. Throw Dr. J in there. He's only going to have one dunk. If you want to throw Dominique Wilkins in there, he's only going to have one dunk. Let's be honest about some of these guys. It was just a different time. The only one in that time that was advanced enough would have been Michael Jordan. And in terms of the what if, all of these guys are super athletic. Is there a possibility that after a round of dunking, one of them or all of them, maybe even through talking to each other, could come up with something or steal a dunk from someone else? Yes, I think that's absolutely possible, but we don't know that. You see, like Vince Carter was throwing LeBron James in there, and I personally, even though LeBron can dunk like in game, he could jump really high, he jumps from far. I don't know if he would have been a dunk contest dunker. The way he moves in the air isn't elegant. It's all force and power. Right? Not saying that that's a bad thing, but in terms of a dunk contest where grace and the way that you float through the air matters, I don't know how creative LeBron would have been. And we've never seen it, so we don't know. Right? So we can only go by people we've seen in the dunk contest. And so I think Vince Carter and Zach LaVine, in my opinion, would probably have the best shot in that group over Michael Jordan, Aaron Gordon, Desmond Mason, Jason Richardson. You could throw anybody else you want in there. I've heard people talking about James White. He used to play on the New York Knicks. Flight White. But he joined the dunk contest late, and even though we've seen some of his other dunk contests, I don't know how he fares under those kind of bright lights against other stars and superstars. I don't know, right? Like sometimes people fold under those pressures if you're not ready for it and if you're not prepared for it. So would he have been? That's tough to say, right? But what we can say is all the people that we've talked about so far went out there and performed. And they did what they had to do. And, that's why we have these conversations. They're fun. But, yeah, I like that Vince Carter is always so confident in his ability, right? That's good to see. Confidence is key in this sport, obviously. But I do have this one comment about Vince Carter. I need a long drink of water for this one. Maybe I should change this up a little bit. And it led me to this, right? Does Vince Carter care too much about dunking? Does Vince Carter care too much about dunking? He's, and as he should be, right? He's very proud of it. He's one of the best. He could say he's one of the best ever in that. And I get that that's something that you could hold your hat on, and that's amazing. However, when it comes to when it comes to being one of the best players ever, he had a great base for that. He's 6'6", 6'7", with size. He's not a lean, lanky 6'7". He's like a beefy, good-sized 6'6", 6'7", can jump out of the gym. He had the tools on offense, right? He can shoot the ball. He could post up. Solid ball handling. He could drive. He could obviously finish with his athleticism. And looking at it now, sometimes I wonder if he's cared too much about being one of the best dunkers and not enough about being one of the best players. I wonder, and I think everyone has the right to have whatever goal they want to have, right? Like maybe it wasn't his goal to be one of the best players ever or the best players ever, because he was one of the best players, obviously, right? He was great. 2-time All-NBA player in a career that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, well, some of these it's the same. He's like switching on one team. But like a 20-year career and you're only an All-NBA player 2 times with all of the gifts that you have. Career 16.7 points per game. I don't even think that's you. And like I said, I'm not saying you're not successful. I'm not saying you're great. I'm saying you are those things. That as a fan, as a person that watches basketball, as a person that has analyzed things, I saw you as a much better player than you displayed most times. And I don't know if it's injury. I don't know what it is, right? But I really feel like, especially early on, like Vince Carter had a chance of really challenging that throne, but so much has to go right. So much has to go into that person, right? Like so many people have been up, or they got sidelined by injuries or whatnot, and sometimes things happen. But nonetheless, an incredible career for Vince Carter, one of the greatest dunkers that we've ever seen in the NBA, and yeah, had a long 22-year career. Like that's unbelievable, right? That's unbelievable. And so, now that we look on the other end and we look at some guys at the earlier part of their career, and we saw the Dallas Mavericks last night embarrass the Minnesota Timberwolves on their home floor to punch their ticket into the NBA Finals. Last night, the Dallas Mavericks won 124-103 behind their guy, Luka Doncic. Now, Luka had 36 points, 5 assists, and 10 rebounds. Shot 14 of 22 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3, 2 of 3 from the line. And Kyrie also added in 36 points himself, went 14 of 27 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, and added in 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Now, in the first quarter alone, Luka outscored by himself the Minnesota Timberwolves 20-19. So let's take a look at how this even happened last night.
agility out of the big fella in this series.
Doncic three, that's right over. No.
I'll tell you, we've seen some real agility out of the big fella in this series.
Doncic three, that's right over. No.
Two shots, Reg, and hasn't been able to get either one of them to the rim.
Doncic backpedaling in a 16-foot. Doncic watching Gobert. Lively may hedge. Gobert will work. Had it snatched away. Edwards staggers his way the other way.
Since then has been fantastic.
Quick shot by saving, and Doncic has it with a lively screen. Tailed by Anderson.
Wow.
14 for Luka on the logo.
What is going on here?
Wow.
From Luka.
Doncic again, another three. Anderson on him. Doubled by Towns. Finds a gap. Throws it up high. Gafford good hands by the season turn for the Mavs. It's Kyrie knifing, piercing the paint. Gets
It's there by Edwards on Kyrie initially.
Irving on the move and through traffic.
Wow.
On the pick and roll. We've seen it throughout the series. That's a disaster.
Made him fall.
Jones is made in this building in the series.
Towns a fake, a drive into Washington's defense.
I like it.
All now, as is Anderson, watching Kyrie take it
Whoa.
with ease. So the 39 by the two Mavs, and only 38 as a team from the Wolves, and Irving three! Backs in this one. Doncic inside, and that's the way it begins. Doncic with ease, glides in for... It's a three.
Towns now with 14.
Three. Set Doncic on defense. Lively, Irving, open triple.
Wow.
My goodness, to get out of that hole is a monumental task. Doncic will wheel, stop, tripled, and got it.
To the bench.
It's just
You're
too
gonna play
easy
half
for him.
the game. So you can play all out. You don't have to worry about all out.
Step back three. Way, here it goes. The Western Conference champions are the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to the NBA Finals.
So, you know, we obviously saw at the beginning of that game what it was looking like. And Jay-Z said it best. Grand opening, grand closing. We had the grandest of openings when Kyrie had literally started the first quarter of this series off. Let me look this up again. You know, game one, it was a close game. And Kyrie went 6 of 9 for 13 points in that first quarter. And he was just getting everything he wanted, right? And Luka, in the last game, grand closing, starts it off on a heater and scores 20 points and puts a stop to anything that Minnesota thought they were going to do. And it, you know, it's funny because they were in the press conference, they were asking Kyrie, and he was talking about the feelings and the emotions that he had in that moment compared to shoot around. Now imagine the feeling and the emotions that the Timberwolves had from shooting around and just before tip off to the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, and where they probably thought the game was already over. Rudy Gobert in the first quarter shot 7 times. More than Karl Anthony Towns and more than Anthony Edwards. Almost more than both of them combined. They took 5 shots each for 10, obviously. So if Rudy had taken a couple more shots, who the fuck knows? But it was a great strategy of Dallas to let him catch the ball and force him to make a play. And he was looking for his shots. And to me, you know, when obviously they were out. What was the the first half ended? It was 69-40, right? And so, excuse me, they always say, like, those first couple minutes of the second half is going to tell you exactly what that second half is going to look like. It'll set the tone for it. And this is the first possession of the second half. They're trying to set a pick and roll action here for Luka at the half court, then at the logo, right? Because, you know, what Minnesota has tried to do is, if we just push them up higher, right, and we start trapping them high, it forces the bigs to have to make a play, which they've been doing actually. So it hasn't really been working for Minnesota because they've been finding shooters and they've been finding Kyrie. But for the quarter to start, like the half to start like this,
in this one,
this shit's loud as fuck right now. But for that quarter to start like that, because Rudy's in a drop, he's guarding this guy, and what are we doing, bro? Like, look, Ant's getting over because he was guarding the guy, and no one's communicating. Rudy's in here, he's like slowly dropping back. McDaniel's got to go drop at this point because Rudy needs to switch over to one of these guys, and Ant shouldn't have left at that point. The way he saw that the way the defense was being played, he shouldn't have left him. But if you see, like, Luka is starting from the half court, and he was getting all the way to the basket. It goes to show you the mindset kind of that the Minnesota Timberwolves were in. They had given up. It was over. Anthony Edwards said it best at the end of the last game. He said, we didn't get swept. And he was right. And unfortunately, I think they were satisfied with that, and that's how it sounded. And you know, that's just how it ended up for them. Now, moving forward for the Dallas Mavericks, how is their style going to translate in the NBA Finals?
They were first record. So they have some incredible weapons. So I think our defense is going to be the key.
I never had to play against 4 defenders, but, you know, apparently Boston has 4 defenders that can check you. Chuck said something very important today. He said that the defense dictates the way that you play the offense. Will you have to switch up with all the defenders that they have that can stop you, or are you just going to play the Luka way?
I'm trying to play the Luka way. Just play basketball, have fun.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about him versus Tatum. You know, that if Luka wins a championship, not to say that this is something that he consciously thinks about all the time, but him winning a championship would validate his style of play. His ball dominant, everything runs through him. You know, the difference is his other guys have really, you know, they've become superstars in their roles, as people like to say it. They do they perform their role, their job as well as they can. And when they're doing that and Luka is being Luka, playing his style, which honestly, he's very ball dominant, but like he said, it's all about reads, right? And that's what I was saying this series against Minnesota was. It's all about Luka and Kyrie making the right reads consistently, and they did that. When they were in one-on-one situations and they knew there was no help coming, they got to their dribble packages and got off a good shot. When they were trapping and double teaming, if they had to let go of the ball early, they were doing that. If they had to turn the corner and get around the double team or split it, they were doing that. When it came to them going downhill, when it comes to shooting a floater or throwing an alley-oop, they were making those right decisions more often than not. And that's really what the Luka style is. It's let Luka get into the middle of the floor and make a decision. And that's really what it came down to. Right? And moving forward against the Boston Celtics, how will the Boston Celtics disrupt that is the question. Because Luka has shown that we've seen different defenses thrown at him now. Right? We saw the Clippers, if it was Russ just always constantly on him, they were throwing bodies on him, right? For OKC, we saw Lou Dort picking him up 94 feet. And, he struggled a little bit in that series, but found ways to get his teammates going, right? So did Kyrie. And so they've shown that they can win under different circumstances. It's not so much the Luka show like it was in years prior, even though he scored the most points this year, right? He averaged the most points that he's ever averaged. The team has really grown over the last couple of months, and they're peaking at the right time, right? And so moving forward, obviously they're not going to make any massive changes to the way that they're playing, because when you let your best player make the decisions, you can live and die with those results. And they said it. Their motto has been they win together and they lose together. And all that's really saying is we believe in our style of play. We believe in our stars, and we're going to live and die by the things that we have worked on all year. And I can't fault that. I got to tip that. Like that's super commendable to have that kind of mentality and to be consistent in that, right? So, kudos to the Dallas Mavericks. Kudos to Kyrie Irving. Like I said, the reason this Luka Doncic style has worked the way that it has is because of Kyrie Irving. Kyrie, Jalen Brunson it's still very early in his career. Before that, he had Spencer Dinwiddie. He didn't really have much. And so Luka was able to find the rhythm and shoot and do whatever he wants throughout the whole game, right? When you have Kyrie on the floor, but it's an older Kyrie Irving who's not demanding the ball, who says, you go do you, I'll find my way and my rhythm throughout the game. And then you look up and the dude has 25, 30 points somehow. I think he's obviously helped Luka get buckets in bunches, in spurts. I mean, he's always sort of done this, but he's forced Luka to be more efficient. Right? Even though some nights it's not, but I felt like before Luka would really go out of his way to find and look for his rhythm, even when he wasn't shooting well. and Kyrie balances them out. If Kyrie needs to score a lot, he can do that. If he needs to be more passive and get everyone else involved, like I said, I think that's what the strategy really was against OKC. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think he had a bad series. I think it was a strategic move. But he could do that. He's grown to this point in his career where he can pull levers and push buttons and certain shit will happen, and he knows how to do that. It's just he's just a vet at this point, and congratulations to these guys again. Excited to see what they look like against the Boston Celtics. And I just wanted to quickly give some props to the rookie Derek Lively, because this guy has just been fucking amazing for them. He went 16 of 16 in the entire Western Conference Finals. Has been all energy. He's fearless. He's just 8.6 points and nothing crazy. 7.2 rebounds, but he's just super fucking active. He's always throwing his body on the line for his teammates. He lost his parents. Kudos to this guy. Congratulations to Derek Lively. You are phenomenal. Showing that, in a time where all of the rookies and the draft, the incoming draft, it's all about who's the next star and, trying to be the best player. I was talking about this with Bronny James, and you got a guy like Derek Lively who comes in and plays his role to the best of his ability, and he maximizes it. And we're seeing what that looks like, right? And, like I said, congratulations and kudos to him. So let's talk a little bit about the Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics. Now, we've spoken a little bit about this already. And initially, you would say the Boston Celtics. They have a better record. They've been the best team all year. They've been knocking on this door for years now. They've been Eastern Conference Finals. They've been to the NBA Finals. So in terms of experience, they have that. The TNT guys, they were talking about the media. When you walk in, it's not 30 media members, it's 300 media members. And sometimes people get kind of lost in that, right? Barkley was saying he didn't have his guys prepared for game one, and by the end of that, it was too late because they lost home court advantage. Now, for the Dallas Mavericks, they're coming in as the underdog. However, the two best players on the court will most likely be on the Dallas Mavericks and not the Boston Celtics. And we've seen this before, right? 2 years ago, when the Boston Celtics went up against the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals, I chose the Boston Celtics to win that series. It was stupid, but all of my reasons were valid. On a basketball level, right? They were bigger. They had an upcoming star. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals before. They had... I felt like their supporting cast was more talented. I felt like they had a better team. However, they ran into the better player because the best player in that series was Steph Curry, and a team that had refined their system, their offense, and their defense. Will this be a similar outcome for the Boston Celtics? Because if you look at it, you could argue that the Boston Celtics have a more talented team than the Dallas Mavericks. Right? Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, and a healthy Porzingis. Those 5 guys, it would be hard to find 2 starting 5s that could match those 5 guys in talent. They could just do so many things, right? Defense, offense, they can all put the ball on the floor, hit any kind of shot. They're just a talented team. But like I said, I think the Dallas Mavericks actually have the 2 best players in this series. And they have shown that could win you a series, because I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves, you could also argue, are a better team than the Dallas Mavericks. You have Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, Alexander Walker, Kyle Anderson. Like, you just got players that can, like I said, do so many different things. And when you look at the Dallas Mavericks, okay, Gafford, Lively, okay, all they do is rebound and dunk. They can't really put the ball on the floor. They're not going to shoot jump shots. Derrick Jones Jr., iffy on threes, also can dunk, not really putting the ball on the floor like that. It's Luka and Kyrie. And their play lets those guys play their role at a high level. It's like a give and take, right? Like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? It wouldn't work without the other. And if the game is close, the Dallas Mavericks have shown that they can and they will close games. That Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving know how to manage those situations and pull out victories. On the other side, the Boston Celtics have shown the same thing. I'll admit, to lesser teams, to the shitters. Miami, Cleveland, Indiana was decent, but so what does Boston look like against a legitimate threat? How does Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown look when they're not the best players in the series? Because we've seen how that's looked before. Right? We've seen that before. They ran into the 2 best, people have been saying Luka and Kyrie are the best offensive guard combination ever. Well, Tatum and Brown ran into the 2 best guard duo ever in Steph and Clay, and they lost to them. So will it repeat itself again? I don't know. We'll do a deep dive into each of the teams next week, and I'll make my final decision as to who I think will win this series. But moving on to the losers of the Western Conference Finals, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going home, but we do have this.
You just know how you got to train. because, like I said, I've never played this deep into a basketball season. So now I know, like, okay, in order for me to be able to be dominant in the third round, and if we get past the Western Conference Finals to go to the finals, I got to train like I'm going to go to the playoffs. So I can't be missing training days. I can't take days off. I can't, you know what I mean? I got to be ready. So now I know what it takes. I'll be ready. But I just told them, like, y'all know that we're going to be right back in the same position next year. So y'all know how y'all need to train to get ready, and include myself, like, you know, because we trained this year as if we was going to just play 82 games, maybe one round of the playoffs. We didn't know we was going to go this far. So we didn't train like it this summer. I know nobody did, especially myself. So I think this summer is going to be huge for all of us because we know what type of team we got and we know what we're capable of. So we need to train like we know what we're going to do.
Playing together, trusting the process through the ebbs and flows of the seasons and all the adversity, we found a way to always stick together and move forward together. So disappointed for us, you know. We worked hard, obviously didn't get the result we wanted. To just see how much love these fans have given us and how much excitement we've given them in this playoff run as well in this season. It brings joy to me because, like I said, I've seen the other side of it. So I think that's what makes this so disappointing. These fans deserve a chance to see the finals. I think this team, as of course, we feel that we deserve it. We put the work in, but these fans, after all these years, they've given us so much this playoff run this season. It hurts when you feel you let them down.
So the Minnesota Timberwolves obviously go home, and what I saw there were two people that they have two different outlooks on this loss. You have Anthony Edwards, who is talking about, we know what we need to do now moving forward. He said it's his first time making a deep playoff run like this, obviously, which is true. But now learning from that, and like he said, training to prepare to go that far into the playoffs. Training expecting to make it to the NBA Finals. And even admitted that no one, especially himself, had trained hard enough to go that far. And he had specifically said if he wants to be dominant in the third and in the Western Conference Finals and in the NBA Finals, he needs to train a certain way. That sounds like someone that's hungry. That sounds like someone that's taking accountability. That sounds like someone that is looking for the challenge, but more importantly, someone that knows and understands that in order to get to that point, that they need to work for it. On the other side, we heard Karl Anthony Towns say things like, deserved.
Together, and so disappointed.
He kept talking about how disappointed he was because of this, that how proud he was of how hard everyone worked all year. He said the complete opposite of what Anthony Edwards was saying. He said that he thinks the work that they put in was more than enough to get to the NBA Finals. In fact, they deserved it, even though they lost in 5 games. That sounds like a person that's not taking accountability. This sounds like the person that said, I've been shooting 1,500 shots every day. This sounds like a person that, for lack of a better word, it feels privileged to this situation. And it's as if he feels that way because he's lost so much in Minnesota that now it's his turn to finally win. He's paid his dues by losing. No, bro. That's not how it works. Losing a bunch of times doesn't all of a sudden mean you win. You got to win a bunch of times first before you really win. And I know he mentioned training at some point in his press conference, but the difference in mentality going into next year, the fact that Anthony Edwards is excited because he knows that with how hard they trained, they made it this far. And if they train harder, they get better, they can make it to the NBA Finals. And it sounds like Karl Anthony Towns is still stuck on, if we could have hit a couple shots here and there. If I would have played better here and there, we were good enough to make it to the NBA Finals. And yeah, you were in contention, but you still fell short, buddy. And you need to take a hard look in the mirror, because it's not about your jump shot. It's not about are you the best shooting big man ever? It's about how can you dominate as a 7-foot tall big man. And I think he's yet to answer those questions. Anthony Edwards said he's looking to be dominant. And moving forward, not that they have to make a change per se. However, I do think they need to fix this Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns thing. You can't move Rudy Gobert because Karl Anthony Towns gets in foul trouble. He doesn't put the other team in foul trouble. He's not a dominant paint player. And Rudy Gobert, he's a great help side defender, so he's able to plug a lot of holes that, these guys leave when they get to the paint. But in terms of one-on-one, we've seen him get targeted over and over and over again. And so, I don't see that changing. He's only going to get older. He's only going to get older. And so, how does their defense look next year? They've been exposed a little bit. How does Anthony Edwards improve next year? Will we see him posting up more? Will we see Karl Anthony Towns posting up more? Will we see more Naz Reid in the game? How is this going to work out, right? But, yeah, so congratulations to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They did have a great season. I did choose them to go into the NBA Finals, and they fell short. But I think they have a great team. Like I said, they need to keep improving and just look forward, man. Shit happens sometimes, and the ball didn't fall their way this time. You get better, you come back next year, and you go for it again, and that's really all you can do, right? But yeah, so speaking of sometimes things are not going your way, the Indiana Fever again took another loss last night, bro. These women cannot buy a fucking win. They lost 103-88 to the Seattle Storm. Caitlin Clark had 20 points with another 7 turnovers. She did have 9 assists and 3 rebounds. Shot 6 of 17 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line. We were talking about Nalissa Smith yesterday, and she balled out 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. 8 of 14 from the field, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 1 of 3 from 3. And on the other side, we saw Jewel Lloyd again have another 20-plus point game with 22, went 8 of 14, 2 of 4 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, with 6 assists and a rebound. So let's take a look at how this game actually turned out.
She's already leading the league in field goal percentage. She's already leading the league in field goal percentage, making Bumacay.
Feels like when you're struggling offensively, that ball is popping out a lot. To pick up here from Indy, the hesitation. Clark gets to the
Crustable pregame, Pat. You gotta love the Crustable peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, look, going.
Wow.
Continuing to generate good looks. Lloyd just pushes over Caitlin Clark.
With Katie Lou Samuelson at the 4.
Clark bounce pass it, Smith again. Game here this season, she's got 10 in the first quarter. As Lloyd weaves through traffic and
yo, Jewel Lloyd is a bucket.
over Horston, hits a 3. Here, she's a couple shots from the Gainbridge Fieldhouse logo. Here's Clark on the drive and the finish.
She comes off a pin down here, wide open.
And this is the what's up, dog? What's up, dog?
The graphic now. And some extracurricular as Clark's knocked down a couple of deep triples. Mitchell working on Vivians. The switch off to Magbagor. She had Smith down there for a moment. Dangerous cross-court pass. Berger able to rescue and get the bounce. 5-0 burst. Clark gets by Mule and lays it in. 3 seconds of the half. Jewel Lloyd on an outlet pass off balance. Gets it. Trying to come back. It's so tough against a team like this with bucket getters. Jewel Lloyd.
Good pass.
She's so crafty.
Letting the ball get into the paint. They've got to keep it out.
Clark, step back.
Oh my God.
Anymore. Pat, you keep rattling off how far the threes were.
And here's Wallace, pulls up and connects. Whitcomb, the hesitation, gets inside. Maybe got away with an extra step. Samuelson will try it from the wing. Hit that one, passes. Samuelson's had a lot of space. It's 4 games in 6 days. Indiana falls to 1-8 here.
She's already.
So, obviously, the Indiana Fever now fall to 1-8 on the year, and Caitlin Clark is still, she's still struggling to an extent, right? On the year, she's still averaging 17.6 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. Granted, she's not shooting the ball great, and she's turning the ball over a shit ton. However, this is, I keep saying it, and some people are going to make a big fucking deal about this shit, but let's see. This is all this shit is, man. This is all this shit is. And I think that's why, for me, it's funny watching Caitlin Clark go through this process, because
Beverly harassing Curry. Beverly, a very physical defender, and is called for the foul. And this is what Beverly likes to do. Play very physical. It's been called. She barely reached in after the whistle. Curry objected to that.
And it wasn't until we started seeing Steph fighting back, throwing mouthpieces at referees, pushing people, getting in people's faces, talking shit back. It wasn't until that when the way the league treated him shifted a little bit. That's when it went from more bullying, picking on him, to, okay, we're just going to be physical with Steph because it's just the game plan and he's just smaller. But it took time to get there. He was already killing the league. This was in 2016. Like, he was in the middle of it. And, you know, players still, like, players are going to try to get into Caitlin Clark's head. We've seen it throughout Steph Curry's entire career. And the great thing for Caitlin Clark is she is getting a express version of everything. She's getting everything from game one, where, you know, the other team's best defenders are going to be on her. We've seen defenders not leave her side, literally not leaving her side. And, you know, we saw, like I was talking about, the Las Vegas Aces kept putting her in action, trying to target her. It's like it's a part of the growing process. And I think last night was only the first of many blowouts that we're going to see, because they're going to be extra physical with her. And there's going to be times where, what do they always say? The second person always gets caught. It's never the first person. And she's going to get caught retaliating, and she's going to be pissed, and it's going to be a conversation. But she needs to stick up for herself. We saw, I don't know if you guys saw, Christy Sides got a technical foul, and it screamed a person that's looking to save her fucking job. Look, like, literally, it literally screamed it. Let me see. Where is this? Technical foul.
Magbagor, just 24 years old, potential to team up with Christy Wallace, maybe Sammy Whitcomb, and there's Caitlin Clark. Just left it short. Whitcomb on the defense, and a technical foul on Christy Sides.
I do not.
Yeah, she is tight.
It's frustrating over there on the sideline for Coach Sides.
She's like, you don't understand. She is paying my bills. Like, she's like, I think I've said enough. She's like, all right, I think I've said enough. I think I'm good. Do I gotta go say more? What you said? She's like, I think I did enough, right? She's looking around. She's like, I think I protected her enough, right? You think the owners will like that shit? But yeah, she's obviously looking to, you know, stick up for her player, and she has to do that. Caitlin Clark said she feels like she's been getting hammered, as she should, because that's the fucking strategy. Be physical with her, and they're doing it to a T, and she's still getting her 20 points. Like, I think some people are missing this part where she's still getting her buckets one way or the other. She's getting her threes off. She's only going to get more comfortable. She's only going to get better. And yeah, like, you know, so we got to, like I said, we just have to keep watching we just gotta keep watching for more. You know, we gotta see what else she got, because when she gets comfortable, it's scary hours for the W. It really is. And you know, once that time happens and they wanna take the league back from her, I don't think they're getting it back. So they better enjoy that shit while they can right now. So let's look at the other games last night, which featured Angel Reese going up against Cameron Brink and Rikia Jackson. Oh, I hope I'm saying her name right. And we saw the Chicago Sky beat the Minnesota Lynx 83-73. Behind, they were getting buckets from everybody, honestly. Marina Mabrey, bro, she's a bucket. Like, her three ball is cash. Like, she had 20 points, 6 of 11 from 3, all of her buckets from 3, 6 of 14 from the field, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Dana Evans had 15 points. Kennedy Carter had 14. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Angel Reese had 6 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 of 8 shooting. On the other side, we saw Derica Hamby have 24 for the Sparks, 9 of 19 shooting from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. Cameron Brink had 7 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. And Rikia Jackson had 10, 4 of 5 from the field with 5 rebounds. So let's take a look at how this game turned out.
Lucky.
There you go.
Mabry, that time from the Seward. Hamby lowers her head and lays it in. Out and running to Shields on the push. Left-handed lay-in is good.
I like to
Jason's young, though. You know, he's still learning.
And I like to be hard on Jayson every now and then because he's going to be great.
Right. They got about 15 per game. Angel Reese with that back down against Hamby. Curls it up. Energy guy to try to replace at the beginning of the game, especially.
Let her get a touch in the paint, see what she can do.
She's setting the screen. Mabry.
She's cash,
be a little
bro.
more subtle.
Cash.
Talbot has checked in for the Sparks. There's Briggs.
Oh, that's a forearm shove there.
It was the.
And you know what? I love the fans giving her love for that defensive effort.
And her teammates trying to reward her on the offensive end.
She's in the W so far this year.
Averaging 20, getting about 13 rebounds. Brink penetrating. Dana Evans leads back up to double figures. How about Carter? Jackson against Mabry, playing with the 4 personal fouls.
Some three-point shot opportunities here quickly.
Jackson again likes that shot, gets the touch.
Yes.
Angel Reese. So much to digest for some of these individual performances for the Sky. 2 to shoot. Reese has got to put it up. Beats the home win of the season. And evening the record to 3-3.
So we obviously saw the Chicago Sky take out the LA Sparks, and for me, what I kind of want to talk about is the fact that I just want to see like Angel Reese's development as a player, because sometimes she just looked like she be chucking that shit and it's a layup. Like right here, she needs to set her feet and she just leaning all in. It just looks a little awkward. And I guess that, like, you know, she's still getting her buckets, right? Don't get me wrong. But like we see, this move looks from Cameron Brink looks a little bit more controlled. For her, I think for Brink, it's going to be important for her to be able to hit threes. I think she needs to be able to extend her game out, right? Because she has this game already, right? She's shown that she can drive against other bigs. But the issue is, like, they have post players that can score, right? Rickea Jackson can hit buckets over there. Derica Hamby shoots from over there. Kia Nurse shoots from the paint as well. Like, she's going to have to learn how to hit more outside shots in the LA Sparks offense, because now she's just clogging up the paint, right? And for Angel Reese, it's just refining her game, right? Her and Cameron Brink need to look at a Breanna Stewart and a Aja Wilson and see how their game can develop, because they're both athletic, they're both tall. Like, how tall is let's see, Angel Reese is 6'3". Cameron Brink's probably 6'4" also. 6'4". Yeah, so they're right in the same height as a Aja Wilson and a Breanna Stewart, and they need to look to refine their game, especially Angel Reese, to just get her footwork right, get her shot looking more crisp. And like I said, the skill and the feel for the game is already, the talent and the feel for the game is there. It's just refining the tools, and I think we'll see them become really effective WNBA players. But yeah, we saw, four of the rookies play last night, and for the amount of shit that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark have been getting, like, I said, they all had six points, or yeah, Angel Reese had 6, Brink had 7, Rickea Jackson had 10, and meanwhile Caitlin Clark had 20. Now, granted, she has the ball more in her hands, but yeah, I think kind of like the NBA, the future is looking good, and hopefully Brink and Reese get the guidance that they need, get the training that they need to be able to elevate their game. But that's going to do it for me for today. Thank you guys for listening to me yap. As always, you could have been anywhere on the internet, but you're here with me, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for vibing with me. Thank you for kicking it. It's as always, it's been your host, your boy, Jayson Estrera. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, because it'll help the channel out. And I'll see you guys next week. We're gonna have no basketball, no NBA basketball till next Thursday. So we're gonna figure this shit out. But we'll see y'all next week. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Peace.